I am here with Sierra, and we are going to do a fun interview. She is one of our nursing students out of our Anchorage, Alaska location. And so, hi, Sierra.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank
Um,
you.
so, I understand that today you had an exam. How did it go? Do you know
I
yet?
did. I do. I sort of. I don't look at my grades until the evening. I choose to not look so that it doesn't affect my day because, a good score can boost your day, but a bad score can do the complete opposite. So I choose to just wait until I'm ready for bed. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I just
That
go to
is
sleep at
so
that point.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
started
either gonna
doing that
like
last term.
heighten that day or just like it just makes it kind of like that, like
Yes.
awful, don't want to do anything. And,
hmm
if
It
you have
can
like,
reshape your
yeah,
entire mood. I had last term, we had three exams on the same day and they were back to back. We had about 30 minutes in between, excuse me. And I was like, if I fail one, I'm going to fail all of them because I'm just going to be in this mood. So I started just covering my screen at the very last one and just logging right out. And I was chipper all day. So it didn't matter if I passed or failed. I knew by the end of the day I'd find out. So it
yeah,
worked out really well.
that's a really good way of looking at that.
Yeah.
With myself working on my degree right now, I actually took a test and you see the results, and I've never failed an exam in college, right? High school is one thing.
Yeah.
And it was the first exam I've ever failed, and I felt so defeated. It was
Yeah.
just the worst feeling ever. So that just makes complete sense.
It does. It can, like I said, it can affect your entire mood, your entire day. If you've got like I had I want to say it was my pharmacology class. I would have exams and then I had class. So it was like, it would ruin just I might have been the other way around. Either way, it was one of those like it can make or break your day. So covering it
Right.
up is just something that I have found it works best for my mental health. Like I will look at it later. There's nothing I can go back and do about it. I can only move forward from this point and just hope for the best.
Yeah. And then if you have like kiddos or
hmm
spouse and what have you, you don't want to like take it out on them.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know like I've had exams where I just do not do well at all. And I have two toddlers and my husband. And at the end of the day, like they're my safe place. So I come home and then I'll cry and I'll be miserable and they don't understand. They're 3 and 4 years old. So they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I can't talk about it. So it's not worth all those tears. I can just do it in the privacy when I'm ready.
Right. Yeah. So what's it like, going being in the nursing program, being a nursing student and having, a family and having toddlers? Like, is it chaotic? How are you balancing that whole, life in school?
It is rough. I will say that. So I have a bachelor's degree from a prior university, and I wasn't married at the time. I didn't have any children, so I had no obligations, and I thought that was tough. And now I look back and I'm like, "Whoo, I had so much free time." So now it's it's become it's difficult. There are things that I have to give up. There are things that I have to prioritize for me. Um, but I find what keeps me happy and what keeps me going. Um, so like my kids, like I've met with one of the he's actually our campus president now. So I went to him to try to sit down and figure out my schedule. And he's like, you have it all laid out well. He's like, well, would you give up things like, sitting down to dinner, cooking dinner? And so I like, for me, in order to balance everything without losing my mind, because nursing is hard, um, I allot myself time, like to make dinner, to sit down with my family, to do bath time with my kids, to put them to bed. And if that means that I have to stay up till, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and lose a couple hours of sleep, this is temporary. Like it'll get better. And that's what I just keep reminding myself that, this is a temporary inconvenience for me for something that's going to pay off really well in the end.
That's a really good way of looking at it. And I think
hmm
I think for a lot of individuals, especially moms that are going back to school,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's
Like it's doable,
it's
but it's hard
it's the
sometimes.
give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went from being a stay-at-home mom for 4 years to a full-time student. And at first it was okay because there's, 1, 2 classes that aren't too like in the thicks of it. But now it's like after 2 weeks from now, I'll be in my last two terms. And so I am I'm in it deep. So I've got to just keep pushing and seeing that end game. That's what I keep telling myself. And I talk with my kids, and that's what keeps me going.
So I understand that you live in Alaska and you're in Anchorage area. How long have you lived there? Have you lived there a long time or?
No, I'm actually a semi-recent, what's the word? Implant, I guess. My husband is military, so I am originally from Delaware. I lived there for 25-ish years of my life, and I met my husband there. That took us to Germany for 4 years, where I started my family. We had both of our children over there, and it was amazing. But I was in the middle of a nursing program when he got the orders for Germany, so I had to drop out. So this has been like a long time coming. I told him when we got back stateside that I was going to do it again. So when he found out we were coming here, I immediately started looking. I found charter. I enrolled as quickly as I could. And then I was actually supposed to start July. I don't even know what year I started. I think I was 22 because it fell on like a weird time frame. But I was supposed to start in July, and I was like, I don't have a house yet. I'm living out of a camper. Like, let's push me back a cohort. So I've been here in Alaska for just over a year, like a year and a half now. But I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it like? Is it very different than, say, Delaware?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. So Delaware gets snow. We get all 4 seasons over there, but it's, gosh, maybe an inch or two, and then it's gone within a couple days. Like, it doesn't stick around for more than a week. Every now and again we would get a significant amount, but it was gone. In Germany when we were there, I don't know, I feel like it primed us because it would get they had very little very little daylight hours and very little dark hours, just like Alaska does. It kind of mimicked each other. And it was very overcast there. And so coming here, the like day and night difference has not really affected us. Like, it just feels very natural. The hardest adjustment has been the snow. Trying to juggle 2 toddlers in, I don't know if you've followed Alaska at all the last year and a half, I guess. We have gotten a lot of snow all at one time. And I mean, I knew that it would snow a lot, but holy moly, like when the snow is higher than like my toddler's on top of my toddler, like that was not fun. So it was rough, but I like it. I don't want to leave. I love Alaska. I can't lie. It stole my heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, not the snow part, but the fact that
Yeah.
you have fallen in love with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I relocated a couple different times. I'm in Washington State now, but
Yeah.
I lived in North Dakota for a year, and that's how bad it was. And I was like, I can't do this for another winter. Like, it started
Yeah.
in October and it didn't end until May. And I was like, no.
Yeah. It just never ends. And that's kind of how it is here. I think it snowed, I want to say right around Halloween, and it'll stay probably until about April, May. Like, I mean, it might get less, but there's still snow patches everywhere. So it's different. It's very different. But I was literally just telling my mom this yesterday. When it gets negative, like, it's pretty cold right now, so it's doing it a little bit. But when it starts to get in those negative temps, when there's snowy out and it's cold, it's like the trees bloom. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like they get frosty tips, and it just makes it this like picturesque. No matter where you go, you could literally be looking at the landfill and you're like, this is just beautiful. So I love it. I can't lie. There's so much that I love about Alaska.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you knew that you were, moving to Alaska, you started looking for the nursing program. What solidified your decision on charter college?
Yeah. So when I was first looking, I'm not going to be like lie. I had no idea the area. Like, I Googled like nursing schools and was like, I'm just going to guess. And so I had, I want to say 2 schools. I was looking at a university. I think it was it was a university for 4 years, or this accelerated program. And the program that I was in prior was accelerated as well. So I was used to like the fast pace, the expectations. But this was all pre-COVID. So this was like, I mean, you're in class 5 days a week. This is a much, much different degree now, because a lot of it's hybrid. But when I talked to the university, like, they were just very cold. It was like they didn't have any interest in who I was, but rather like, okay, this is my program. If you want it, come. If not, so be it. Charter was very nice, very welcoming. The lady that I spoke to, I don't remember her name at the moment, but she was very kind, like willing to answer all of my questions. And again, at the time, I was like, let's see, this was like 2.5 years ago, probably, because I started the process pretty early when we found out. And like I had little like teeny babies at that point. So I was like, I don't know. What can I expect? Like, I don't want to leave them. And she's like, you've got this. Like, you can do it. Even if you have children, the program is doable. And I think that's what solidified it for me, is like knowing that I could do it. Like, I didn't have to be on a campus in order to do some classes. Like, it just made it a nicer transition. And it's been difficult, but that's the reason that I went with charter, because it felt more personal.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, right? Is kind of like what we're talking, before kind of kicking off the interview. But when I first started college, I started at a traditional college, and I really felt like I was just a number. Like nobody knew my name. Even when I'm in class, they kind of have to look down, and it takes a while. But I mean, even like the financial aid process, the admissions process, they weren't getting to know, Mellinda. It was just, do you want to enroll into, this program? Here it is, what we're offering, and so that's kind of how I felt. So when I was able to transfer over to charter college, and I was like, absolutely, sign me up. So I totally get that. Definitely.
Yeah, because like I said, I went to a university for my undergrad. I have a bachelor's in human services, and it was a smaller school, but still, like, there were classes that were more general, and you had, 30 people in your class, if not more, and that's just one class. And it didn't matter what you picked. There was no, like, nobody, you're not seeing the same people every day. You're not building those relationships. It's just one professor and you're done. Here, it's a lot more intimate. The class sizes are much smaller. I mean, obviously, as you go through, you lose people, you gain people. So like our class size has gotten much smaller, but you still develop that like intimate group of friends. You get to know the teachers and the professors, and really get to like establish friendships with them and relationships with them, and they know who you are. Like, they know who your kids are. So it's nice.
Yeah, definitely. So with that being said, kind of like the culture of the campus, how does that feel for you? What does that feel like?
So it's different. Because like I said, I came from a university, it feels very it's a little bit more like tight knit again. And the programs, like, I don't ever see them like intermingling, if that makes sense. So it's a little different, because there's, I think, oh, gosh, I don't even know. I know there's an MA program here. And I believe there's another campus that has like the automotives or welding. I literally don't know. Like, I am in this for mine, and that's all my brain can take. So with that, I feel a little bit of a disconnect, because like there's not as many, like, there's like things geared towards nursing students or things geared towards the MAs, but there's not like the big bulk get-togethers like I'm used to from a university. However, when I was doing my accelerated program before, it has that same feel, that same, like, I could see a teacher walking down the hall and like have a conversation that has nothing to do with class. It's more open and inviting. And I mean, there's going to be difficulties with every school you go to, but you can, for the most part, like, work through everything that you have issues with. And if not, you know who you can go to in order to get the support you need. So it's really nice. I like it.
Good. Well, how was because you said that you kind of started the process relatively sooner. What's the enrollment process like for the nursing program with Charter College?
So for me, I started way, way, way too early. So as soon as we found out we were going to Alaska, I was calling and setting things up, because again, from my prior university, I knew that it took a while. It would take, months to get transcripts and the whole 9 yards. And being in Germany, the time difference made it even more difficult.
Right.
So I would have to try to set things up in advance. So I mean, I was done fairly quickly, and then I did have to like backtrack and redo some of my stuff because I had it in so early that it had expired. So my process was a little bit probably not the norm. But it was relatively quick and easy. There were forms you had to fill out. There's no like entrance, like you have to pass what's like an essay or anything like that. You complete your exams that you have to, like the prereqs to get into the school, into the program. You have, you know, your drug testing, your I want to say background check. Like it's been a while since I've done this, so I apologize if I'm off. But there's a lot of like little details that you have to complete. And essentially, if you're willing to go through that process and get all of them done, you're into the program. It's not like competitive where, oh, well, they did it before you, so they're in. It's we take everyone, and then those who aren't meant to be in nursing will get weeded out pretty quickly. Like it's an intense program, so it takes resilience, and unfortunately things come up and people have to drop, but it's, for the most part, once you're in it, you're in it for the long haul. They'll try to get you through.
Yeah. And the program is 2 years, is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
So it's a little bit less. It's 19 months. It is
Okay.
accelerated. So at the time when I signed up, I thought it was a great idea, but it's fast. I am very excited to almost be done, but we don't get many breaks. That's the only downfall to it. A lot of like the clinical hour requirement for nursing, the, you know, in-class time, the lab time, like I said, your clinical hours, everything has to be calculated a certain way, and assignments count for certain things, and you have to meet the criteria in order to be able to sit for your boards. And so it's very, very, what's the word? Not taxing. Taxing is not the right word, but like it can be a lot because it is so fast. You get through, everything is in like a 10-week block. A couple of your prereqs are 5 or 6 weeks, depending, or 4 or 5, excuse me. But for the most part, they're 10-week blocks. And in order to accommodate, you know, if anybody is sick or if anybody has missed a clinical day, week 10, which is like our break, we get 1 week off each term, has morphed into like everybody just has to keep going into week 10, and then we start right back up on week 1. So it is a lot. It is a lot. But like I said, I keep telling myself end game is coming. It's
Right.
very close.
Yeah. That the payoff will outweigh kind of
exactly.
those 19 months.
Yep, this is 19 months of chaos, and then after that I can live as I so choose and not have to look at another textbook one if I choose not to, aside from like continuing my education.
Yeah. So what first made you interested in the healthcare career, in a career in nursing?
Yeah, so I actually have, it's called ulcerative colitis. I've had it since I was 10. And so I've been, you know, a frequent flyer, that's not the word, because there's a totally different connotation, but like I've been a frequent visitor to the healthcare, you know, industry. I've been in and out of hospitals depending on, you know, my state at the time. And so like that care to me just, I don't know, it just sat with me. Like I loved the feeling that the nurses give when, you know, you're sick and you don't feel well, they try to make you feel better. And that's like, that sticks with you as a kid for sure. And then, you know, as I grew up, I had multiple family members, like throughout, who, whether it was my boyfriend's parents or, you know, my family members directly, those people, they all had like different nursing stories to tell. And just along the lines, it was something that really stuck with me. And then I started working as like a secretary in a healthcare office. They took me under their wing, and then from there it just sparked the interest because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so right out of college I went for it, and I ended up switching my major because the school I was at was very competitive. My GPA went to 3.4, and I lost my seat in the program. They're like, nope, 3.5 or more. So I was like, okay. But I didn't give up. I just kept going. I went back to school a few years later because I don't know, I enjoy helping people. I think that it's extremely rewarding to, you know, you see a patient who I had one patient in mind specifically. Like I had a patient who just couldn't walk around in their room. They were having difficulties getting around because they required so much like outside resources that came in boxes, and that it had been stacked. It was a long-term care facility. It had been stacked all around in their room because unfortunately a lot of the time they're understaffed, or they're so busy they don't have time to like reorganize every single person's bedroom at the drop of a hat. So for me, I was able to, in my clinical, go through his room with him and, figure out what he needed, what he didn't need, get rid of some of those boxes, put some of them in the closet. And I went from him not being able to get up, other than like he was in a wheelchair, so it was in and out of his room, to being able to use everything in the room. He had a desk, he had a chair that was brand new to help him sit and stand up. He was able to turn around, he could reach his TV. I mean, like, use his bed. It was rewarding, like things like that. And it had nothing, like I didn't technically do any nursing skills, but just giving back like that has been what drives me to keep going.
That's neat. That's neat.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that story, because I think
Yeah.
a lot of people, for some people that, they're like, why nursing, and for others are like, no, it's all about, the compassion and
Yep.
being passionate about others and wanting to give back. And then there's other
Mm-hmm.
people that are just like, no, that's just not my cup of tea, right? Everyone's a little bit different. But for me, like, I'm so appreciative of, like, that's definitely not for me, but I'm so appreciative of nurses, just because, my daughter has been in and out of hospitals. And so I can completely convey that the importance of nurses and how compassionate they are and understanding of other people's needs. So yes.
Yeah. And I mean, there's always going to be those like outliers who are like, oh, I love the money. And don't get me wrong, the money's going to be great. But for me, at the end of the day, it comes down to like, what can I do to make that person's life better? If they don't remember me, so be it. But like, I know that I did everything that I could to make it great while I was there. And sometimes that means, sitting with a patient's family as they pass, or that might mean like, doing a procedure that is uncomfortable and not pleasant at the time, but that temporary pain, like something stuck with me when one of my teachers told me this, like the temporary discomfort and temporary pain is worth it, to know that your quality of life is going to be better because you have the treatment that you need. And so it's just, for me, that's what just is, I'm in it for. Like, I don't care if I end up with a job that pays me 3 figures, like that'd be nice, but for me, it's the people. I love the people.
Yeah. So do you have a preferred specialty, like in the nursing field, that you would like to go into?
I don't know. As you can, I don't know if you can see it, I've got a heart shirt on.
Yes, I see it.
I would love to do cardiac, but I've seen so many different things. Like, I don't know. I really don't. I love kids. I would love to do pediatrics. I currently, unfortunately, my mom is going through cancer treatment. And so like hearing her stories of her cancer nurses, like helping support her, because she's on the East Coast, so I can't be there. But like, hearing those stories and how much those nurses cared for her, that's a great field. Like, I don't know, like that could be something that I would want to do to give back to that community. Or, hospice, again, being there at the end of someone's life and making them comfortable and helping their family to understand it's not lost. It's like they're still with you. It's different. So I don't know. I'm all over the place. I'm very undecided at the moment. I just know that for me, it's probably going to be more of a hospital type setting of some kind, at least to start, because I've got a lot of energy right now, and why not use it all while I can?
Right. Yeah. Utilize that energy. Definitely. So what is a day in the life of a nursing student? You know what I mean? Like, overall, what what does that look like for us?
Depending on the day. So for me, gosh, I get up early. Like I said, I have kids. My husband's military, so my life is a little wonky. But it's getting up. It's getting up at the crack of dawn at 5:45 or 6 o'clock, taking your kids to daycare, coming back, getting ready for school, getting to school, staying there for, anywhere from 2 to 8 hours, depending on what you've got going on that day, coming home, making dinner, getting my kids to bed, and then studying until, gosh, I think last night I was up until almost 2 o'clock in the morning just to make sure that I could, again, my case might be a little bit different because I choose to have that time during the day for my kids. Um, so mine is a little bit different, but you know, it's a lot of studying. It takes commitment. It takes a lot of self-discipline because you have to be able to teach yourself a lot of this. Like the traditional schooling of you come to class and your teacher teaches you is definitely not the norm now. It's more the expectation is there that you've read, that you have prepared yourself for class, you come with questions, and then they may solidify it if with whatever concerns you have. So a lot of us are very much like, I take my laptop with me on car rides and I'll do my homework, or I have my phone on me or my daughter and my son, I took them to a Christmas thing. And I had my phone doing my questions and answering my quiz questions as I was sitting there. Like I'm still participating, but I'm still doing homework. So it can be, it's interesting. We're constantly cramming any kind of information in our minds that we can. There's a lot of tears. I won't lie. It's inevitable with this degree. It's stressful, but then there's a lot of really fun, rewarding moments. So it all kind of evens out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite like class or project that you've done thus far in the nursing program?
I can't say that I have a favorite per se. I've really enjoyed I enjoyed fundamentals just because it was a lot of like hands-on skills. That's where you're learning all of your the actual skills you're going to be doing. You've got, your Foleys, your oh my gosh, my brain just went blank. Like your oxygen delivery, like all those different types of like skills that person off the street cannot do. And then once you get to farm, there's like pharmacology is rough. Whew, I would not wish that class on anyone. But we got to start IVs. Like, who doesn't want to do that? Like, that was so much fun. That was such a great class. And then, like I said, we've gotten a med surge, and it's been a transition from med surge. Med surge is, anything in the body, all of the functionings and everything that can go wrong with it. So it's heavy, but the clinical experiences have been really, really great. So I can't say I have a favorite per se so far. I'm hoping that, my next 2 terms is mother baby and peds. I'm hoping one of those two spark my interest of yeah, this is it. This is the best class so far. Or leadership. Holy moly, if I make it to leadership, whoo, that's going to be my favorite. That'll mean I'm almost done.
You're like, I'm almost there.
Yep.
Definitely. So talking about clinicals, what are those like?
So it depends. So with Alaska, we're limited on a lot of different things. The other university here, they tend to fight for who gets the clinical slots. So depending on the class that we have and the availability, it depends on if we're in clinical or if we're in a sim. Clinicals typically, they trust us. We've done our skills. They've checked us off. As long as it is something that we have been checked off on, we follow a nurse and we're on our own. Like if we have questions or concerns, we can always reach our professors at our clinical site. They're always there for us essentially. But when we're with that nurse, that's who we're with. That's our teacher for the day. They help us. Like we're able to do anything that we've been signed off for. And so, I've gone anywhere from a long-term care facility. I've been at a smaller hospital on a med-surg unit. I've gotten to view the ICU a couple times. I know others in my clinicals have gone to the ER. They've gone to the OR. Like OR, we don't get to do much, but we can watch. So that's always a fun time. But yeah, they're all over. I think the farthest one I've had is a 45-minute drive for me. So they're not anything too crazy. But again, I'm in Alaska. So I feel like it's a little bit hard to compare places that are more populated, more hospitals and clinics and whatnot. So it makes it a little different, but
yeah,
it's really good.
If, if you did not pursue nursing, what career do you think you would have went into?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. Like I said, I have have a bachelor's in human services, and I was working in that for a while. I had a job as a recruiter, actually, oddly enough, and I was in a home health care agency, and I was entry level management. And so what I did was I worked all the schedules. I did all of the like management of the CNAs. We had HHAs, RNs, and a few LPNs here and there scattered throughout. And it was for the entire state of Delaware. And so like I had to manage their schedules, get who would fill in where, who lived in what area, like, so that was a lot. And it was a corporate side of things. So I know for sure that was not my cup of tea. I liked helping people, but I liked the patients more. And then I worked as a scheduler for a company in Vancouver, and I was working out of Delaware. And so like I realized very quickly scheduling is just not, I'm good at it, but I can't do it. So I think if I were to go back, like if I didn't pursue nursing, it would probably be something in healthcare. It would just be a matter of whether, it's a secretary at a doctor's office, or, trying to get an MA or things like that. But I think healthcare is definitely where I end up finding myself like diverting back to, or kids. I love kids. Like if I could be a teacher, that'd be a pretty cool job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But only for the little teeny tiny ones. I can't do the older kids. When they talk back like bad, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do.
You're like, so when your kids get older, you're just be like, just don't talk back, okay?
Yep, just go to your dad. Go to your dad. Do that to him. Just come to me when everything's great.
When everything else is great.
Yep, 100%.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Does Charter College for the nursing program, do they have any type of like associations or clubs or anything to kind of keep the mold of the student body kind of together? Like, what does that look like?
So I don't necessarily know if we have one for the entire student body, but we have Student Nurse Association. I have been a part of it since term 2, I think. I have been a active member with it. I have actually been a board member since term 2 as well. So that's kind of the outlet that we have like as nurses. So what SNA is it's a group of nursing students who function to try to, like, it's within the school, but we're kind of our own separate entity where we're advocating for ourselves. We're trying to give back to the nurses in the program right now. We do community outreach. We do fundraising. I mean, like, the school doesn't fund it. Anything that we purchase or we do is all funded through us and what commitment we put into it. We've tried to do like not tutoring, but mentorships. That's the word. Where we give advice on when you're in the thick of things and you think that you can't make it, you're gonna fail. Just keep pushing. Like we've tried to do that. We've done all sorts of different things to try to bring everyone together. We do Christmas parties. We've done, or not Christmas, holiday, excuse me. We've done our holiday parties. We've done bake sales, and we've tried multiple times to get a community outreach, and we've done volunteer stuff. And so that's probably about the only one that I know of. That's the only one I'm a part of. I'll put it that way.
Okay. That's pretty neat though, just doing like community outreach and, volunteering and,
it's nice.
Just getting each other together.
Yeah, we get our connections and we're able to like meet people in the community. They know our faces, they know our names. And, if we're able to get into a facility, like, I did one of my volunteer things at a local hospital. So they know who I am and they see that I'm dedicated. They know the program's hard and they still see me here for 8 hours or however long, I think it was 6 or 8. Like, they know I'm motivated. So it's not going to hurt, like, to do it.
Right.
Even if you don't do the board positions. Like, I feel like the board position helps you to establish your leadership skills. Like, you get better at public speaking. It's a little bit more of a commitment, but nothing crazy. But it does. It's helped us to meet different people that we would have never met before. Like, so, and then on top of that, like, you can always be your advocate for your cohort. They have like representatives that tend to come and like talk like at not board meetings, staff meetings, like within the school, to try to help with that. So again, those are just the more connections that you make, the better off you are. It's just, it's easier to figure out what you want to do when you know the people, they talk to you, they're willing to have conversations that are more friendly based versus like, this is a job interview. So I like it. I think it's good. And like I said, we've been able to give back too. So like we just bought a stethoscope for as a prize. Like it was, you didn't have to do anything other than show up to the party. You got some tickets, put your name in, anything you wanted to do. We had free food there for people. And we were able to give away that stethoscope. And it was a Littman. Like it wasn't like a, I just went to Walmart and purchased the cheapest brand I could find. Like it was expensive. So we were able to do that without any funding from the school. So it's nice. I like it.
That's cool. I love that. I love that idea of just having that, that networking opportunity. And, one is volunteering, but it's also, giving back and then being able to have that niche with other students and being able to mentor them and being able to say, like, you can do this, keep trucking along. So that's fantastic.
It's always nice to have those connections and, cohorts ahead of us, like they've helped us out. They've kept us positive. We're doing the same for cohorts below us. And I see some of them doing the same thing for the newest cohorts. So it's like a trickle. If one person helps, it just continues to follow the path. So
yeah, it's kind of like, when you go to get a coffee and you pay, you're paying it forward, right?
Paying it forward. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Well, if you could give any advice to somebody that was considering, becoming a nursing student or enrolling at charter college in the nursing program, what advice would you give them?
Gosh, I would probably tell them to just keep pushing. Like that's literally the best advice I can give. Like there are going to be exams that you fail. You may fail every single one. You may, have to take a term over. Things might come up or whatever. But if you trust the process and you commit yourself to, again, knowing that this is temporary, it sucks while you're in it. Like, don't get me wrong. I love and I'm excited to be a nurse, but I will be so ready for this to be done. Like that is no like nothing hidden. That is true. But if you keep pushing and just like remember the reason why you started, why you wanted to do it, and keep working towards that and fighting for it and advocate for yourself. If you don't feel like, what has been given to you or what you've gone through is fair, fight for yourself. Like it's okay to be like, something's wrong here. This is not okay. And that can be hard because, you want to fit in and like mold into school and kind of sit in the background. You don't want anybody to draw attention to you, but you realize like you can be your own advocate. And that's, I think, a big important thing within nursing school because it can be very taxing. It can be, there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of tension that starts flying and there's always going to be something that comes up. So if you can learn how to be resilient, if you can learn how to be, flexible and committed to that, it makes it easier. It still will suck while you're in it just simply because of the amount that's shoved into your brain in a very small time. But like, if you remember your why, like I know that sounds silly, but that's what keeps you going through nursing school. It's tough, but that end goal, you just keep looking for it and it's coming. I turn around and like I said, I'm 2 weeks away from my last 2 terms. So I don't know how. I'm like, our group is the next graduating group after these 2 weeks. Like, what? We were just the babies. So it'll fly by. It will definitely fly by.
So, that's so true. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like my advice is just to keep pushing. And if you want this like bad enough, like I said, there are sacrifices you have to make. There are things that you may, struggle with as you go through. Like I was an AB student. Like I am perfectly happy with a passing grade at this point. Like I'm good with it. I have learned to accept that passing is passing. It doesn't matter. And so just those little things will keep you going and make it worth it.
Yeah. And remembering the why. And I think that's huge, right? So when you enroll, you start thinking, okay, why am I going to do this?
Yep.
Even if you write it down on a little, post it and put it on top of that laptop, right? It's like, I'm doing it for my kids, or I'm doing it because I want to, I want to be able to take care of patients, or I'm doing it, for my mom, or whatever the case. Write it down, stick it on that laptop, and just keep it with you.
100%. And I will give it to charter in our campus here. So there's a board that's actually it's been up since I started, and I hope that they let us update it for our cohort coming up. They had talked about it, so we're hoping. It's got why they started. One is to show my kids that it's never too late to follow your dreams, or for the money, or for whatever. But it's on that board when you walk through to get to your main classes. And then one of my favorite teachers on the campus, she has they're leaves. It's a silly little thing, and we were like, what are we doing? And she's like, I want you to write down what your goal is for the end of the term. And it's something silly. She's like, it could be to be confident, it could be to be an ER nurse, whatever your goal is in this moment, write it down. And so she made us come into the other room, and she's got trees, the wall stickers that you can put up.
Yeah.
And we taped our leaves up. And so we had this whole tree of our cohort leaves, and we got to see everybody else's goal. And then the next term, we updated it. And so we got another leaf and we added it on. And I'm really sad she's actually leaving. So not sure if we'll end up getting them back without we'd have to actively go get them ourselves probably. But it's just nice to kind of see how you grow and what your goals change. And because it's okay to not, like I said, I wanted to be a cardiac nurse. I don't know if I want to do that now, and that's okay. I just want to gain confidence and be competent and be the best nurse I can be, and that's okay too. It's that remembering and that push and that drive is what'll get you through the degree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I highly suggest you go and take a picture of that tree so that you forever have it.
I did. I had it our first year, our first term. And then we have this ongoing group chat with our cohort where we post all these random pictures that we take throughout the terms. It is so fun to look back on. So it's neat. There. It's definitely really there. Neat. Yeah.
Well, to kind of wrap things up here, if you could give any shout outs to anyone, I'm going to open it up for you, whether it's, whether it's instructors, whether it's family, friends, or what have you, that have just kind of helped you, pushed you along, or been really supportive. I will let you go ahead and do that.
I will try not to cry. I was doing so good this whole time, even talking about my wife, but giving shout outs. Definitely. Oh, I can't start with her because I'm going to cry. I'll wait for that one. So my teachers, I'll give a couple there. There's one teacher that, gosh, I hope he doesn't see this. If he knew, I could not stand him when I first met him. I just thought he was just full of himself and just did not care. Oh my God, that man is a god. Professor Oborny, thank you for getting me through this entire degree. He is the foundation that has helped us get through it. And I wish that I had not had that. It took me a term to realize just how smart he was and why he did push us like he did, because gosh, it is literally the only reason why I'm still able to do notes and successful at all. And he was always so positive about it. And she just recently changed her name. For me, it's Professor Mackey, but it's Claypack now. She was my advisor. She has talked me down off of the hypothetical ledge. Gosh, I was I'm gonna fail. This is all for nothing and blah, blah, blah. And she took the time out of her day to help me through it. And it was so nice. And we've built this relationship that's a friendship in a, she's still my teacher, or not. Well, she hasn't actually been my teacher, thankfully. I've been able to have more of that friendly rapport with her since I don't have to directly be underneath of her with classes. But she definitely has been when I pass a class, I'm guess what I did? And I sent her an email. I'm I'm still in it. It's so great. So she's definitely one. Professor Smith, she is the lady that I was speaking about earlier today in this interview. She was our fundamentals teacher. She was great. She helped me through, again, that transition into nursing is hard, and she kept us so positive, and she's the lady who made the tree for us. So that was great. and then all my friends, like, I mean, within my cohort, I've got a ton of friends that, without them, I wouldn't have made it this far. And, there's tensions that build, and it's rough, but you find your people, and you hope that, they'll stick with it through you, or stick with it with you, because you're going in it together. Like, I mean, it's hard. And so, like, inevitably there's always going to be tension, but I wouldn't be here without them. And then my mom, sorry, and my husband, I guess I should include him too. He's definitely been my support system. But, my mom's my cheerleader from back home. She's like I said, going through a lot. But she's doing okay. And she has, like, every intention to try to come out for my pinning this summer. So hopefully, look, here I go. I warned you. I tried not to. But yeah, she's definitely been a big role model for me and helped push me along. And then my kids, I mean, like, they don't know they're doing it. They have no clue. But, like, the days that, I come home and I'll put some TV on for them so that I can go cry on the stairs just to decompress. They like come over and they're like, "Mommy, are you okay?" And they'll give me hugs and, "You're doing so good, Mommy. You're such the best mom." And I'm like, "Thank you." So
put your little tiara back on.
Yeah, like, I'm doing something right. They see it. They see my hard work, even if it sucks sometimes. Like, it's noticed. So sorry that I got, like, an emotional mess, but that's what happened.
Oh no, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's hard, right? It's hard work, and being a mom and a wife, and and then your mom over there, and so yeah, absolutely. And
it's definitely rough. And like I said, I've had so many people support me through it. And, like, my husband, gosh, he's military. He works all day long, and then he's come home and, like, heck, solo parents so many days, because I'm like, I have, an exam I have to study for 12 hours. I'm sorry, I have to disappear. So
right.
He hasn't been able to turn off much. So I wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have an amazing support system. They're
pretty great.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Yeah. So you are almost there. You are almost done. Like, yeah, like you can start seeing that, that finish line.
I can. We are, like, counting down the days and the weeks. I think we're at 21 weeks and, like, a quarter, 21 and a quarter weeks. Like, it's so close that I'm like, woo.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that my pinning will be on my birthday, so it's, like, even more exciting. Like,
oh, how neat.
Yeah, so I'm really stoked.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. I know you're going to get there. I know you'll be at that pinning ceremony, and just for your comfort, should mom not be able to make it for whatever reason, the pinning ceremonies are recorded. They are put on, Facebook Live, and we do put them on, like, YouTube and what have you. So cool. One way or another, she's going to see you.
Yeah. So, she'll be there.
Yes, definitely. Well, Sarah, it was such a pleasure meeting with you today.
Yeah,
you have high energy and you're passionate, and it was just, it was a pleasure meeting with you. And I thank you so much, because I know you're so busy. So I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. This is done. And you're studying before, so I will let you totally get back to it. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for reaching out.